מלכנו, חדש עלינו שנה טובה.
אבינו מלכנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו, שמע קולנו.
Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov, Shana Tovah, Kmar Chatimah Tovah. What a wonderful thing it is to reach this Yom Kippur morning. So we welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for letting us get into your home so we can observe and celebrate this Yom Kippur day together. My name is Rabah. I'm the spiritual leader of congregation Shaarey Zedek that is located in the beautiful prairies of Manitoba, Canada. We're in the city of Winnipeg. It's 9:36 a.m. Central Time. And we welcome all of you, and we also welcome this wonderful team that we have here in the main sanctuary of congregation Shaarey Zedek. We welcome our cantor, Leslie Emery. Good morning, Leslie.
Boker Or.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you so much. It's great to have you here, and we are all ready. We are ready. Looking forward to enjoy your singing this morning and your Torah reading.
Yes, absolutely.
And your Torah reading. And we welcome our shames, Bill Wiseman. Good morning, Bill. Shana Tovah, Kmar Chatimah Tovah. We welcome our wonderful Shaarey Zedek quartet. Oh, there they are. Justin Odwak, the conductor. Then we have John Anderson, we have Mal Magorel and Kira Krasnig. And the accompanist, Mr. Stephen Cox, that one day we are going to put a camera on you. I won't promise, because we don't promise on Yom Kippur, but I'll do my best. And of course, our audiovisual director, Marvin Polanski, controlling everything that you can see and hear in the stream. We also have the help today. Once again, Bonnie Robinson, she's here helping with the Torah, with the arcs. So, yeah, we are ready to begin with the service. We have a special machzor that it was designed specifically for congregation Shaarey Zedek. I know many of you have a physical copy of the machzor, if you claim one before the high holidays, but if you don't, there is no problem. You have to visit www.szwinnipeg.ca/book. And there you will find the PDF of the machzor, so you can download it or you can read it from the screen and you can follow along the service. We always ask, more like we beg people, not to be spectators but participators. Believe me, it's going to be a totally different experience if you follow along the prayers, and also even better if you can once in a while read the English, because they are so profound, so full of meaning, that it will be a totally different experience. So let's begin with the service. We have to take the Torah out of the ark. If you have a Zoom Aliyah, I will ask you to go and log in to Zoom right now. And I would like to invite everybody to rise. Please turn to page 252 of the Machzorim. We invite Bonnie and Bill to come to the bima to open the ark, and Cantor Leslie and the choir are going to guide us in the Hotza'at Sefer HaTorah, Vayehi Binsoa Aaron.
Vayehi binsoa Aaron, vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, ve'yafutzu oivecha, ve'yanutzu mesanecha mipanecha.
Ki mitzion tete Torah, ki mitzion tete Torah. בקדושתו. אדוני, אדוני, רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא ונקה.
God is a God both merciful and gracious, patient and great in kindness and truth, ensuring mercy for thousands of generations, tolerating sin, transgression and wrong, and cleansing people of their guilt.
Adonai, Adonai, רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע, וחטא
Ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim merov chastecha Aneni באמת אישך.
God, may my prayer to you arrive at a welcome time. Sovereign in kindness plentiful, answer me with salvation sure.
ואני תפילתי לך אדוני את רצון אלוהים מרוב חסדך ענני באמת אישך.
Page 253.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh v'nora Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh v'nora Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai iti Uneromema Shemo yachdav.
Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod. Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz lecha Adonai ha'chama ha've'ha'mitnaseh le'chol le'rosh.
Romamu Adonai Eloheinu Vishtachavu Ladom Raglav Kadosh Hu.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו.
Please sit down and relax. We're about to begin with the reading for this morning of Yom Kippur. And this is one of those Torah portions that they are self-explanatory. There is no hidden messages, no allegories here. It's about history. This is the way Yom Kippur used to be celebrated back at the time of the temple. Yom Kippur was heavily based on sacrifices. And it was a big ritual going on in Jerusalem. People from all over the map used to go to Jerusalem to experience the cleansing ritual of Yom Kippur back in the temple. So this is a very graphic description of what used to happen in those days when we used to have the Holy Temple of Jerusalem. All the aliyot for this morning has been assigned. We have people in the Zoom. And so it is my great pleasure to invite our first reader, that is Shaarey Chochinov. I'm going to bring you in, Shaarey. Good morning, Shaarey.
Morning, Rabbi.
Chatimah Tovah, Chatimah Tovah. Great to have you here. Shaarey Chochinov.
Thank you for the honor.
Oh, it's our honor that you accepted. Shaarey is a dear congregant. She takes pretty much every class we offer and every program we prepare. So
There's lots to learn.
We get to see her pretty often here in the building. It's an example of a committed Jew who is not only observing Judaism at home, but also studying constantly to increase her knowledge. So we couldn't find a better person to honor with the first reading in this day of Yom Kippur. If you want to follow the reading along, please open your Maxor on page 257. It's going to be taken from Leviticus chapter 16, verses 1 to 11. Our Torah reader this morning is going to be Leslie Emery, who is going to call Shaarey Chochinov in a proper way. Amen.
הכל אבו גודל עלינו כבוד לתורה תעמוד. יתרא זבת בנימין ונחמה. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. ותן ודבקים באדוני אלוהיכם חיים כולכם היום.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher baruch banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. וידבר אדוני אל משה אחרי מות שני בני אהרון וקרבתם לפני אדוני וימותו. ויאמר אדוני אל משה דבר אל אהרון אחיך ויבוא בכל עת אל הקודש מבית לפרוכת על פני הכפורת, אשר אהרון ולא ימות, כי בענן נראה על הכפורת. בזאת יבוא אהרון אל הקודש, בפר במכר, לחטאת והיל לעולה. כנונת בקודש ילבש, ומכנסי בד, יחיו על בצרו, ובאבנת בד יחפור, ובמצנפת בד יצנוף, בגדי קודש הם רחץ במים, את בשרו ובשם. ומאת הדת בני ישראל ייקח, שני שעירי עזים לחטאת, והיל אחד לעולה. והקריב אהרון את פר החטאת אשר לו, וכיפר בעדו ובעד ביתו, ובעד ביתו. ולקח את שני השעירים והעמיד אותם לפני אדוני, פתח אוהל מועד. ונתן אהרון על שני השעירים גורלות, גורל אחד לאדוני וגורל אחד לעזאזל. והקריב אהרון את השעיר אשר עלה עליו, הגורל לאדוני ועשהו חטאת. והשעיר אשר עלה עליו, הגורל לעזאזל יעמוד חי, לפני אדוני לכפר עליו, לשלח אותו לעזאזל המדברה. והקריב אהרון את פר החטאת אשר לו, וכיפר בעדו ובעד ביתו, ושחט את פר החטאת אשר לו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notin haTorah.
Amen. Yesher Kochech, Shelley, thank you for being with us. And Yesher Kochech, Leslie,
Baruch Tieh.
Indeed. Thank you, Leslie.
for this last minute preparation of the reading. So,
She's always amazing.
yes.
She's
Shelley, I'm a
always
fan of
amazing.
yours as well.
And so very special.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to davening together again soon.
Me too. Me too.
Thank you, Shelley. Shana Tovah, Gmar Chatimah Tovah.
Amen.
Well, we are ready to continue with the second of, let me see, I have to, second of the Aliyot this morning. I don't know if you've been paying attention what's going on here. Is talking about the first Aliyah, talk about the scapegoat. This expression that we have in English is coming from specifically this Torah portion when there were two goats sacrificed, one for God and one for Azazel. So basically all the sins, all the transgressions, all the mistakes were put into this second goat and sent away to a wilderness called Azazel. Some people believe there was a cliff. We're not sure, but that was a scapegoat. Get out of here. All the faults into one single living being, and now we have this expression in English. Well, we are ready to continue. Let me see here. With the second Aliyah, we have also two dear congregants, Earl and Suzanne Golden. Shana Tovah, Gmar Chatimah Tovah, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, Shana Tovah. We're doing well, thank you.
So great to see you. And
Thank you. Great to be here.
Earl, is this a special birthday as well?
Yes, it is.
You wanna
Second bar mitzvah.
You want to say how? You want to say the age to everybody?
83.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. I bet you never had that many people celebrating your birthday before.
That's for sure.
Too bad you can't have cake. But,
You're right.
Later.
but how often you can invite God to your birthday party. So we are very honored to have you here. And we invite Leslie Emery to call you out properly right now.
Thank you.
יעמדו יצחק מנדל בן שמו משה וברכה, ושרה חנה רבקה בת נוח ולאה לעלייה השנייה.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Page 260, Leviticus chapter 16, verses 12 to 24.
Amen. ולקח מלאכתה, כך לאש, מעל המזבח מלפני אדוני, ומלוך אופניו קטורת סמים דקה, והביא מבית לפרוכת, ונתן את הקטורת על האש לפני אדוני, וכיסה ענן הקטורת את הכפורת, אשר על העדות ולא ימות, ולקח מדם הפר ויזה באצבעו, על פני הכפורת קדמה, לפני הכפורת יזה 7 פעמים מן הדם באצבעו. ושחט את ציר החטאת אשר לה מביא את דמו אל מבית לפרוכת, ועשה את דמו כאשר עשה לדם הפר, ויזה אותו על הכפורת ולפני הכפורת, וכיפר על הקודש מטומאות בני ישראל ומפשעיהם לכל חטאותם, וכן יעשה לאור המועד השוכן איתם בתוך טומאותם. לכל אדם לא יהיה באוהל מועד בבוא, וכיפר בקודש עד צאתו, וכיפר בעדו ובעד ביתו ובעד כל קהל ישראל. ויצא על המזבח אשר לפני אדוני, וכיפר עליו, ולקח מדם הפר ומדם השעיר, ונתן על קרנות המזבח סביב. ויזה עליו מן הדם באצבעו 7 פעמים, ותיארו וקידשו מטומאות בני ישראל. וכילה מכפר את הקודש ואת אוהל המועד, ואת המזבח והקריב את השעיר החי. ושמח אהרון את 2 ידיו על ראש השעיר החי, והתוודה עליו את כל עוונות בני ישראל, וכל פשעיהם לכל חטאותם, ונתן אותם על ראש השעיר. ושלח ביד איש אותי המדברה, ונשא השעיר עליו וכל עוונותם אל ארץ גזרה, ושילח את השעיר במדבר. ובא אהרון אל המועד ופשט את בגדי הבד אשר לבש בבואו אל הקודש, וניחם שם, ורחץ את בשרו במים במקום קדוש, ולבש את בגדיו ויצא, ועשה את עולתו ואת עולותם, וכיפר בעדו ובעדם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan l'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Earl and Suzanne, Shana Tovah, Gmar Chatimah Tovah, and Earl, Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
We wish you lots of blessing in this new
Thank you
year.
so much.
And
Thank
to celebrate your second bar mitzvah. And hope to see you in person very soon.
Hope
For
so.
sure.
Thank you.
It's time to continue with the reading. We are going to move now to the third reading. And by the way, Yisher Kochech, Leslie, for that beautiful, beautiful reading. And
Yeah.
you want to explain what's going on, why I said last minute?
Well, we at Shaarey Zedek, and hopefully everybody out there, we take the situation with the pandemic seriously. And one of our staff is not well today, so I started studying Torah yesterday a lot. And here I am. Huh.
Yeah, that was quite something. That was quite something. As I mentioned before, we have for the first and second Aliyot, three old friends of Shaarey Zedek, Shelly Chachinov, Erlson, Suzanne Golden. And now we have a new friend of Shaarey Zedek. And it's my great pleasure to invite Ken Goldstein, who is connected all the way from Calgary. And you may wonder, who's Ken Goldstein? Well, and let me tell you why I said that he's a new friend of Shaarey Zedek. As you heard yesterday during the Kol Nidre service, Ran Yukashi, our new executive director, addressed the congregation. I can't even tell you the process we went through to choose a new executive director who can help us through this important and serious task. Ken Goldstein was there wearing his superhero cape, and Ken brought so much experience in the field of helping different institutions or companies to go through this kind of process. But then those conversations, those meetings developed into a friendship. And Ken is a wonderful, wonderful individual that brought not only experience, but his warmth, his advice. And we are now so happy that we went to him to select Ran, that we wanted to celebrate this big achievement by honoring Ken Goldstein with an Aliyah this day of Yom Kippur. So, good morning, Shana Tovah, Mar Chatimah Tovah. Ken, how are you doing?
Good morning, Rabbi. After that incredible introduction, I'm not sure my head will fit in this little screen anymore because
Don't worry.
It's bigger than the screen. But
I can zoom in and out. Don't worry.
Okay, all right. First of all, thank you for the honor and the work we did. It was a pleasure to work with you and the committee, and I'm actually very, very thrilled to be here today.
So thank you so much for all what you did, and it's my great pleasure to call you up now with a traditional way so you can have this Aliyah in this day of Yom Kippur. Leslie, please.
Yamon Chayav ben Yosef l'Aliyah hashlishi.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vahed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachir Banu Mikol Hamim. V'natan Lanu et Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vet Chavachatat yaktir amizbecha. V'mishaleach et hasayir lazazel. Yichabes begadav v'rachatz b'saro b'mayim. V'achreichen yavo lamachaneh. Vet par hachatat vet seir hachatat asher huva et demam lechaper b'kodesh yotzia michutz hamachaneh v'sarfu ba'esh et toratam vet b'saram vet pirsham asarafotam יכבס בגדיו ורחץ בשרו במים ואחרי כן יבוא למחנה והייתה לכם לחוקת עולם בחודש השביעי בעשור לחודש תנו את נפשותיכם וכל מלאכה לא תעשו האזרח והגר הגר בתוככם כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם, לפני אדוני תטהרו. שבת שבתון היא לכם, ויניתם את נפשותיכם חוקת עולם. וכיפר הכהן אשר ימשך אותו, אשר ימלא את ידו לכהן תחת אביו, לבש את בגדי הבד, בגדי הקודש, וכיפר את מקדש הקודש ואת אוהל מועד, ולמזבח יכפר, ועל הכהנים ועל כל המקל יכפר ויתזות לכם לחוקת עולם, לכפר על בני ישראל מכל חטאותם אחת בשנה, ויעש כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'hayei olam natan b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koyach, Ken, and Yasher Kochech, Leslie, beautiful reading. Again.
Thank
flawless.
you so much.
That was amazing. That was amazing. So thank you so much, Ken. We wish you many blessings and have Shana Tovah, Umetuka, and Gomar Chatimah Tovah. And thank you for being here with us celebrating Yom Kippur.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Time to continue now. We are about to lift and tie the first Sefer Torah. I would like to invite everyone to rise. Peter Weisman is going to help us lifting the scroll. Again, please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו, תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים.
You may be seated. And again, we thank Leslie for that beautiful reading. And we welcome now Bonnie Robinson, who is going to read for us from the second scroll. The reading is going to be taken from Numbers chapter 29, verses 7 to 11. And this is actually our maftir. So the tradition is whoever says the blessing for the maftir is going to stay to read the Haftorah. So this morning of Yom Kippur, we are honoring Patrick Eleazar as our honoree for this maftir. Good morning, Patrick. Shana Tovah, Gomar Chatimah Tovah. How are you doing?
Gomar Chatimah Tovah.
Everything okay?
Terrific.
Okay, good to hear. Good to hear. Patrick, also long time congregant here at the Shaarey Zedek, and he has a beautiful Taimani Nusach that hopefully you're gonna capture when he sings the blessing, and then when he's going to read the Haftorah with this beautiful. Is it a Sephardic Nusach that you use, Patrick?
Sephardic, Moroccan, yes.
From Morocco. from Morocco. So stay tuned because you will see it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful Haftorah song with a special melody. But it's our great, great pleasure to honor Patrick Elazar as for the maftir in this day of Yom Kippur. Leslie, please.
Yamot Shimshon ben Avraham v'Sara lal maftir.
I don't have the brachot. Just looking for the brachot.
If you're in the Maxor, it's page 255, you have the blessings.
Baruchu et Adonai המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Borach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Adonai המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Amen. ובעשור לחודש השביעי הזה, מקרא קודש יהיה לכם, ועיניתם את נפשותיכם, כל מלאכה לא תעשו, והקרבתם עולה לאדוני ריח ניחוח, פר בן בקר, אחד איל אחד, כבשים בני שנה שבעה, תמימים יהיו לכם, ומנחתם סולת בלולה ושמן, 13 לפר, 12 לאיל האחד, יסרון לכבש האחד, לשבעת הכבשים, שעיר עזים אחד חטאת, מלבד חטאת הכיפורים ועולת התמיד, ומנחתה ונזקיהם.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Sorry, I don't know how to sing the Amen with your tune. So it comes out kind of a blend of Sephardic slash Ashkenazi, also called Ashkefardic. I learned that word during Passover, that people that they are Ashkenazi all year round except for Passover so they can eat rice. So, yeah. Yasher Koyach, Patrick, and Yasher Koyach, Bonnie. Beautiful reading. Patrick, we're going to give you a little break as we lift and tie the Sefer Torah, and then we'll bring you back to sing for us the Haftorah. Please rise to lift and tie the second scroll of Torah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל. ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר אדוני מירושלים.
You may be seated. And now we are going to continue with the Haftarah that is taken from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 58, verses 5 to 14. As I announced before, the reader is going to be Patrick Eleazar. After we finish with the Haftarah, we are going to continue with the Misheverach for healing. During the high holidays, we don't read the complete list. Sometimes we have some time frames on, so it will be too complicated. But if you have names that, if you are praying for someone, for recovery, for healing, for health, you can use the chat. Please type the name. And if you see somebody else typing a name, just type Amen. So we can feel that we are all together praying for health. So you can start typing those names now. So all those names will be on the list by the time that we finish the Haftarah. And now it's my great pleasure to invite Patrick Eleazar once again to read for us this Haftarah for the day of Yom Kippur. Patrick, please.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim, v'ratza b'divrehem, הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. קרא וגרון אל תחסוך כשופר הרים קולך והגד לעמי פשעם ולבית יעקב חטאותם. ואותי יום יום ידרשו, בדעת דרכי יחפצו, כגוי אשר צדקה עשה, ומשפט אלוהיו לא עזב, ישאלוני משפטי צדק, קרבת אלוהים יחפצו. למה צמנו ולא ראית, עינינו נפשנו ולא תדע, הן ביום צומכם תמצאו חפץ, וכל עצביכם תנגוסו, הן לריב ומצה תצומו, ולהכות אגרוף רשע, לא תצום החיים, להשמיע במרום קולכם. החזה יהיה צום אבחרנו יום, ענות אדם נפשו, לחוף כאדמון ראשו, ושק ואפר יציע, על זה תקרא צום, ויום רצון לאדוני. הלא זה צום אבחרנו, פתח חרצובות רשע, התר אגודות מותה, ושלח פצוצים חופשים, וכל מותה תנתקו. הלא פרוס לרעב לחמך, ועניים מרודים תביא בית, כי תראה ערום וכיסיתו, ומבשרך לא תתעלם. אז יקבע כשחר אורך, ברוכתך מהרה תצמח, והלך לפניך צדקך, כבוד אדוני יאספך. אז תקרא ואדוני יענה, תשבע ויאמר הנני, אם תסיר מתוכך מותה, שלח אצבע ודבר אבן. ותתאפק לרעב נפשך, ונפש נהנה תשביע, וזרח בחושך אורך, ואפלתך כצהריים, ונחך אדוני תמיד, והשביע כצחצחות נפשך, ועצמותיך יחלית, והייתה כגן רבה, כמוצא מים, אשר לא יחזרו מימיו. ובנו ממך חרבות עולם, מוסדי דור בדור, תקומם, וקורא לך גודר פרץ, משובב נתיבות לשבת. אם תשיב משבת רגליך, עשרות חפציך ביום קודשי, וקראת לשבת עונג, לקדוש אדוני מכובד, וחיבתו מעשות דרכיך, ממצוא חפצך ודבר דבר. אז תתענג על אדוני, והרכבתיך על במות הארץ, והלכתיך נחלת יעקב אביך, כי פי אדוני דיבר. גואלנו, אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, מדבר ומקיים, כי כל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, ונאמנים דבריך, ודבר אחד מדבריך, אחור לא ישוב ריקן, כי אל מלך נאמן אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו.
הנאמן בכל דבריו.
אמן.
רחם על ציון, כי היא בית חיינו, ולעלובת נפש תושיע בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו.
ושמח ציון ובניה.
אמן.
שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו, ואליהו נביא עבדך, ומלכות בית דוד משיחך, במהרה יבוא ויגד ליבנו, על כיסאו לא ישב זר, ולא ילך לו עוד החרים את כבודו, כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו, שלא יכבן נראו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו.
מגן דוד.
אמן.
על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום הכיפורים הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, למחילה ולסליחה ולכבוד ותפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כוחך תמיד לעולם ועד, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני,
ברוך הוא ברוך שמו.
מלך מוחל וסולח לעוונותינו ולעוונות עמו ישראל, ומעביר אשמותינו בכל שנה ושנה. מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ביום הכיפורים.
Amen.
Amen. Yasher Koyach, Patrick, beautiful reading of the Haftarah. I always love your Nusach, and it's always an opportunity to enjoy something different here in the sanctuary at Shaarey Zedek. So thank you for accepting this honor, and we hope to see you very soon in person. But until that time, we wish you Shana Tovah and Gmar Chatimah Tovah to you and to your beautiful family.
Thank you, Rabah. Gmar Chatimah Tovah.
Amen. So it's time to continue now with a prayer for healing. The Misha Berach, I saw some names already in the chat. Thank you so much. Keep typing those. Could be individuals, sort of. I see here people praying for people around the world, healing from fear of our nation, and so many beautiful wishes. Please use the chat. It's a powerful tool to connect all of us.
מי שברך אבותינו Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים. אנה רפנה לה, אנה רפנה לה, אנה רפנה לה, אנה רפנה לה. מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, יצחק ויעקב, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים.
Amen. Please rise as we continue now with the Achnasat Sefer HaTorah, the returning the Torah to the Ark, page 271. Yehalelu.
יהללו את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו.
הארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמוד עיר תהילה לכל חסידיו, יבני לישראל עם קרובו. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
ובנוחה יאמר,
צעירים המחזיקים בה ודום שהמאושר דרכיה דרכנו וכל נתיבותיה שלום.
Now that the ark is closed, you may be seated. By the way, we noticed that we had a reel. I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of the service, listing the names of everybody who made a contribution to the synagogue for the High Holidays Appeal. I have to apologize because we noticed that some of the names are missing. but we are working hard, and the reel is going to be it's going to be updated. So before we start the Mincha service, hopefully all the names are going to be there. So thank you so much if you made a contribution, and I apologize if your name was not listed in that list. Another reminder that if you want to follow along the prayers, the way we do it here at the Shaarey Zedek, you're going to need our Maxer. You have to go to www.szwinnipeg.ca/book, and there you can find the PDF containing the Maxer. You can read it on screen, or you can download it to your device, or your computer. You can still make a donation to support everything we do here. If you wish to do that, please visit szwinnipeg.ca/HHD donate. Let's see. We have a big thank you to Leslie Emery, our cantor, the Shaarey Zedek Quartet, Justin Odwak, our tenor and director, Mal Magorel, John Anderson, Kira Krasnick, with accompanist Stephen Cox. We thank Bill Wiseman, lay clergy, and Shames of Congregation Shaarey Zedek, Bonnie Robinson, Todah reader, and arc opener. Lots of training for that, right? Arc opening. Yeah, you have to know actually which string, because one open, one closed. You have 50% chances to get it wrong. We wish Refuah Shlema, quick recovery to Tali Milo, like clergy. She couldn't be with us. She's under the weather. And we also thank Marvin Polanski, audiovisual director. And who else? Stacy Bazak, ritual secretary, preparing all the outlines so we won't miss a beat this service. We also thank Robert Didich, communication and marketing director, who is monitoring the chat and helping with tech support in the office, together with Lina Lokshin. They're both there. If you ever have a problem, you can call the office. Hopefully they will be able to help you. And if you know, sometimes when you are wishing us Shana Tovah, Chatimah Tovah, and you see a nice message answering you, that's Robert Didich. So thank you, Robert, for your help this morning. We also would like to thank and acknowledge all the maintenance staff that is working behind the scene to keep the room at the right temperature so we won't boil or we won't freeze. And who else?
I'd like to thank Rabbi Anibal Mas. Thank you so much for everything this morning and throughout the High Holy Days so far.
Thank you, Leslie. You're welcome. And we also thank everyone at the Shaarey and Portsmouth, right? I understand
Absolutely.
that they are getting together to watch our services there. So thank you for being here with us. Have I missed anything?
I'd like to thank our honorees this morning, everybody who participated in our Torah service, as well as Patrick Elazar for a beautiful, beautiful reading of the Haftorah this morning. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us as we go through the service.
Our honorees, Shelley Chochinov, Earl Golden, Suzanne Golden, and Ken Goldstein, and of course, Patrick Elazar reading the Haftorah. And, well, you know why I wanted to bring all this greetings and thank yous and to say something, because in a minute you're going to have to stand again. So I need an excuse to allow you to relax for a few minutes before what's coming. Now we're about to move into the Musaf service. And again, the Musaf service itself, either for Shabbat or for Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, Rosh Hashanah, and Yom Kippur, is a special service that it was created to honor the holiday. So we always have the morning service, the afternoon service, the evening service, but for the holidays, for the biblical holidays, we have a special service, an extra service, an added service called Musaf. That's what Musaf means, added. It replaces what used to be the sacrifice that our ancestors used to bring at the temple, specifically for the holidays, for the festivals, right? We don't have sacrifices anymore, so we bring the Musaf. I hope you read along the Haftorah as Patrick was reading. And basically, those words of the prophet Isaiah, are a perfect example of how the concept of sacrifice an animal was replaced by other things, either prayers or charity or act of kindness. Yeah, I mean, Isaiah said it beautifully, right? God doesn't really want your sacrifices. Sacrifices used to be things, as a reminder that there is some kind of behavior expected from us. Eventually, that reminder didn't work anymore, so Isaiah has to rebuke the people, saying there are so many other things that you can do to deserve God's atonement, right? So here we have a special prayer, replacing that concept of sacrifice, but still reminding us that is something expected from us. We have to do something so we can start working on repairing this sometimes broken relationship between us and God. But every time you want to repair a relationship, the first thing you have to do is to be there talking to the other party. You can't pretend that a relationship is going to be repaired by magic. Now you have to at least pick up the phone, send a text message, an email, but it has to be something saying, I'm here. I want to work on this. Okay? Well, we have a prayer to do that, and that is the Hineni. Hineni means, here I am. I made it. I came. I'm ready. So as we approach God to ask for forgiveness, to ask for cleansing, to ask for a new opportunity in this new year, the first thing we have to say is, I'm here. I know you are God. I know you're always there, but I am here ready to engage in this process of repairing this either broken or neglected relationship. So we are going to continue now with the Hineni. It's on page 277 of the Machzorim. And I'm going to go to my special spot in the sanctuary. Whenever we have people in the building, the tradition is I start walking from the back of the sanctuary, and as I walk through the rows, people start standing up. I guess it's in solidarity with me. For some reason, the congregation appointed me and Leslie to guide you. But we don't want to be alone. We want you to be with us, so we can feel that we are doing all together. So at any point of the prayer that you feel like, maybe you feel something different, maybe you feel that now you're ready to be in front of God, please stand and remain standing until the end of the Hineni. Hineni, Hineni, Hineni ani mimas, nirash venivchad mi pachad yoshar tailot Israel vati lamod vati lamod uleit chanan lefanecha alamecha Israel alamecha Israel אשר שלחוני, ואף על פי שהייני חדאי והגון לכך, על כן אבקשך אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, אלוהי ישראל, אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, אלוהי ישראל, שעדיין היום ונורא, אינה מצליח דרכי, אשר אנוכי הולך לעמוד לבקש רחמים, לבקש רחמים עליי ועל שולחי, כי אתה שומע תפילת עמך ישראל ורחמים. ברוך אתה שומע
יישר כוח.
ברוכה תהי. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish, page 278.
ויתקדש
שמי רבה בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי
בחייך ערוב יומכון ובעיר לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב
ואמרו
ושמי רבם מבורך לעולם ולעולם בעלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשה
בריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה ושמחתה ונחמתה לאמירת בעלמה
ואמרו
The ark is going to be open now for the Echa Kedusha recitation of the Amidah of Musaf. We're on page 279 as we begin with the Amidah.
Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch hu Baruch Shemo
Eloheinu v'Eloi avotenu v'imotenu Eloi Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'anora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim Ve'koneh HaKol Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot Umevi Goel Livnei V'neihem Le'eman Shemo Ve'ahava Misod Chachamim Unevonim U'milemed Dad Mevinim Eftecha fi v'tfila v'tachanunim Lechalot u'lechanen Pnei melech malchei hamlachim V'adonei Adanim.
Remember us for life, ruler who delights in life, and write us in the book of life for your own sake, God of life, sovereign helper, savior, shield. We bless you, ruler, Abraham, protector, and Sarah's help. Zochreinu lechaim, bottom of page 279.
Zochreinu, Zochreinu lechaim, melech hafetz ha'chaim, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים. וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים.
מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו.
מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה.
אמן.
Page 280.
אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחי מתים אתה רב להושיע. כמוך ברחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ברחמים, ונאמנת לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו.
מחיי המתים.
Amen.
Bottom of the page, לדור ודור.
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. בשבחך מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי המלך גדול, כי המלך גדול, וקדוש אתה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו.
המלך, המלך הקדוש.
We continue now on Silent Amida. The ark is going to be closed, but we remain standing. Yashir Koyach, Leslie, that was beautiful.
Baruch Tieh.
Thank you to Shaarey, the Shaarey Zedek quartet. That was amazing. I hope you get inspired to continue now silently with the Amidah. This is an opportunity that we have to have a private audience with the creator of the world. Find a quiet space at home, and you can use the Hebrew, the English, or you can also use your own words of prayer. If you're using the English or the Hebrew, you will notice that you will have the first confession of the day in this Amidah. This is the time that we admit that we are not perfect. We have to. If we want to have any chance to be successful in any kind of change for this new year, first thing we have to do is to admit that we are not perfect, and there is always something that we can improve. Let's continue silently from pages 281 to 298. Again, Hebrew, English, or your own words of prayer. Once you complete your prayers, you may be seated. We're about to move on to the Unetane Tokef prayer. And before you do that, if you are new to our congregation, if you've never been part of one of our streams, first, welcome. And second, you may want to consider subscribing to our channel. If you're on YouTube, you have to click the subscribe button. And if you do that, after that, click the bell. So you will be notified every time we go live or every time we upload one of our amazing videos or classes to our social media channels. And yeah, and also, if you like the service, you can also give us the thumbs up. You can click the thumbs up here on your video on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also share the video with somebody else so we can reach even more people this Yom Kippur. I believe we have a message of hope, a message of healing, a message of encouragement. This is the style here at the Shaarey Zedek. We are not here to rebuke. We are not here to make you feel guilty. We are here to uplift you and to inspire you to become the best version of yourself. So thank you again for being here. Subscribe, give us the thumbs up, and please stay with us until the end of the service. It's time to continue with the order of the service. We are on page 300 now, and we are going to continue with the Unetane Tokef, this powerful prayer that is reminding us that we are here in this world, let's be honest, just for a little bit, but it's up to us to make the best of whatever time we have in this world, because we can leave behind a mark in our generations if we understand that we all have a divine purpose to fulfill in this earth. Please rise as the ark is open for Unetane Tokef, page 300.
Unetane Tokef, Kedushat Hayom. Unetane Tokef, Kedushat Hayom. Ki unora ve'ayom, uvodinase malchutecha. Uvodinase malchutecha, ve'igor bechesed, ki yisecha. B'teshev ala be'emet, be'emet.
Emet, emet, ki ata hudayanu mochiach, ve'odea va'ed, ve'chotem v'sofer umoneh, v'tizkor kol הנשכחות, ותפתח את ספר הזיכרונות, ומאליו יקרא, וחותם יד כל אדם בו.
Please remain standing as we continue on page 303. We have a very special version of the Rosh Hashanah. This is a modern reinterpretation of the words composed by the one and only Leonard Cohen. You see, we have many Jewish composers, and some of them were influenced by their Jewish upbringing, Jewish values, Jewish liturgy. In fact, I once saw a documentary analyzing the God Bless America composed by Irving Berlin. And the conclusion is that it was based on the Shabbat morning Nusach, the chord progression. Sometimes for Jewish composers, their Judaism is present even if they don't realize it. But Leonard Cohen captured the essence of the Rosh Hashanah, his beautiful composition, Who by Fire. Page 303.
And who by fire, who by water, who in the sunshine, who in the nighttime, who by high ordeal, who by common trial, who in your merry, merry month of May, who by very slow decay, and who shall I say is calling? And who in her lonely slip, who by barbiturate, who in these realms of love, who by something blunt, who by avalanche, who by powder, who for his greed, who for his hunger, and who shall I say is calling? And who by brave ascent, who by accident, who in solitude, who in this mirror, who by his lady's command, who by his own hand, who in mortal chains, who in power, and who shall I say is calling?
That was beautiful. That was the amazing voice of John Anderson. Thank you so much. Bottom of page 302. But repentance, prayer, and charity ward off the evil of the sentence. Utshuva, utfila, utzdaka, ma'avirim et roa, gezeira.
Utshva, utfila, utzdaka, ma'avirim et roa hagezera.
And you may be seated. I truly hope you are finding these services inspiring and uplifting. That's our goal for this new year. But what you have to know is what we do here at the Shaarey Zedek goes way beyond Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, not even Shabbat. We have services every day, and we have so much to offer to everyone in Winnipeg, and as we discovered during the last 2 years, virtually everywhere in the world. So Leslie Emery is going to share with us a message, letting us know why we hope you're going to support our work in the year 5782. Leslie.
I'm very grateful and fortunate to be here with everyone today. And I hope you're finding this service as moving as I am. The music, the ambiance, our rabbi's teachings, all of it, Marvin, everyone in this room. I came back in a different world. I had a baby right before the pandemic, and my maternity leave ended, and I found myself in our chapel at the morning minyan, not sure really what to expect. And there were people on the chat, and I was leading the service. And suddenly throughout the year, I found, despite all of these challenges we faced, and not just in Winnipeg, everywhere in the whole world, we were able to help people. We were able to celebrate birthdays. I'll never forget Joshua from Alabama's birthday at the morning minyan. I'll never forget all the yurtzites we observed, even though we couldn't be together in person. We gathered as a community to say Kaddish for those who lost loved ones this year. And if you've lost a loved one, I'm so very sorry for your loss. These have been such difficult times. And there's one thing that I have learned about Shaarey Zedek in this time. We are not afraid of a challenge. In fact, we didn't miss a day. I couldn't believe it. The day everything locked down, we streamed. How did we do that? I don't know how we did that. We have vision. We have Rabbi Anibal Mas here. He is a forward-thinking person. I can't believe this rabbi I work with. I feel like this year I really see Rabbi Anibal Mas, you know. He's always been fun, and he's always had a sense of humor, and he's always had great taste in music. However, he also has the vision to move us forwards. And what we do here is so important. We remember to be grateful daily despite life's obstacles. We gather as a community no matter what challenges we face, and we keep moving forwards. And we keep finding ways to overcome the challenges. And I never dreamed in a million years when I came back that March that I would be up here on the Bima this High Holy Days. And here I am with all of you. Moving forwards in this coming year, those of you who know me and who've worked with me over the years, you probably know young families and kids have had a big part in my work here at the Shaarey Zedek. And finally this year, I feel like we have the resources and the planning and the vision to do more for young families in the coming year. We are dreaming. We are moving forwards, and we hope to bring you all with us. I do hope that you'll take the time to support our work however you can, however you're comfortable doing so. For those who have already donated to our High Holy Day campaign this year, I am so very grateful to you, and thank you so much for your donation. And if you would like to continue supporting our work and move forwards with us into this strange unknown future we all find ourselves in, as we overcome the challenges, as we find ways to continue Jewish practice despite life's obstacles, making life meaningful, remembering to be grateful, and remembering and connecting with one another. I hope you'd consider making a donation to our High Holy Day campaign this year. You can go to www.szwinnipeg.ca/HHD-donate. Thank you so much for spending your High Holy Days with us. I wish you a sweet year ahead. Gmar Chatimah Tovah. And thank you so much for joining us for the High Holy Days this year.
Thank you, Leslie. And it's a great pleasure to have you in the team. And I can't wait to see how much more you're going to bring to this team. We're already witnessing the tip of the iceberg. So, Yasher Kochech to you and everything you bring to the team.
Baruch Tieh. Thank you.
And yeah, thank you so much to all of you who donated. We are We are so close to the goal. You know, this is I know it's a spiritual place, Shaarey Zedek, but we have a budget goal every year to be able to carry on for everything we have to do. We are so close. We just need your help. I would love to come to the building on Friday morning and to see Ran Yukashi smiling from ear to ear. Said, we did it. So please help me to make that dream a reality. So let's continue with the service right now. We have the special Aleinu. You probably remember this one for Rosh Hashanah. But this is an occasion where the rabbi, the cantor, will bow down completely. This is coming from the time of the temple, with people, this part of the service will totally bow down in reverence to God. It's a way to humble ourselves. I don't know if you read on the Torah, when it was talking about the Yom Kippur, it says, humble your souls. Well, that is usually understood as fasting, but also bowing down is a symbol of modesty. We want to be humble in front of God. So if you can, at home, when we do it here on the Bima, please do it at home. Humble yourself in front of God as part of your Yom Kippur process. Aleinu, page 305. The ark is open. Please rise.
Aleinu leshabeach. Ladon hakol, latet gedula, leyotze breshit. Shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot. ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה. שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
The ark is closed. You may be seated. We are going to continue now with a very powerful and difficult, I will say, at least for me, part of the service. On page 306, we have the Ele Ezgira. This prayer has a history, actually. This is the story of 10 rabbis and how they died by the Romans because they dared to teach Torah. The difficult part of this is not so much about the death of the rabbis, but the why this prayer was incorporated into the liturgy of the Yom Kippur. When this poem was written, the idea of the author, or the theology of the author, was that when Joseph was sold, remember the story in the Bible of Joseph? He was sold by his brothers. His 10 brothers sold him. Eventually they reconciled, but the brothers never really atoned for their sins because they never actually asked forgiveness for what they did. And the idea is that that unfinished business continued to be around in the world for generation after generation. And this was like steam growing and growing inside the machine. And eventually, if you don't take care of that, it's going to explode. So the whole idea was that these 10 rabbis, before they were born, those 10 souls volunteered themselves to come to this world to atone for those 10 brothers who never did the complete teshuvah. And you can see why I believe that this is a very dark and difficult piece of liturgy. And I understand it's been recited for generation after generation, and it's very difficult now to reconcile this concept with the way that sometimes we think about our relationship with God. But nevertheless, I believe that there are some values here that they could be very helpful for us, in the sense that when we do something wrong, there are always consequences. How many times we think about that? We usually think, and this is one of our favorite phrases, correct me if I'm wrong, would like to see it in the chat. We usually say, it's not a big deal. My question is, how do you know? It might not be a big deal for you, but it might be a big deal for some other person. So this is a reminder that every action has a reaction, like it or not. And when we do something good, that goodness is going to be felt. But when we do something that is not so good, those consequences are always going to be felt somewhere else. Sometimes it's not a big deal. Sometimes it is. Elia Eskera, page 306.
ונפשי עלי אשפך כי ולאונו זרים כי ולאונו זרים.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears, how foreigners will rush to devour us. How in the days of the commander, no stay of execution was granted to the 10 martyrs killed by the government. Rabah Ishmael purified himself and in awe pronounced the name. He rose high above and questioned the man clothed in linen. He answered, accept this on yourselves, though you are righteous and favored, for I heard from behind the screen that in this case, you are trapped.
ונפשי עלי אשפך כי ולאונו זרים כי ולאונו זרים.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears. How foreigners would rush to devour us. He hurried to shed blood like an ox when his head was cut off. Rabah Ishmael picked it up and wept over it with a voice harsh like a shofar. Oh, the tongue that was eager to teach words of beauty, how does it now for its sins. Lick the dust.
ונפשי עלי אשפכה, כי בלעונו זרים, כי בלעונו זרים.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears. How foreigners would rush to devour us. Noted scholars were killed, who sat up late to study in synagogues, full of good deeds, like a seed-filled pomegranate, or like the holy altar's corners, daubed with blood of offerings. They let out Rabbi Akiva, who interpreted the letters crowns. They raked off his flesh with sharp tooth combs. Page 308.
ונפשי עלי אשפכה, כי בלעונו זרים, כי בלעונו זרים.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears. How foreigners would rush to devour us. The commander ordered them to lead Rabbi Hanania ben Teredion out of his study hall. With bundles of branches, they burned his body, while sponges of wet wool were placed over his heart to delay his death and prolong his pain. The removal, he was burned at once. And I tore a scroll with him.
ונפשי עלי אשפכה, כי בלעונו זרים, כי בלעונו זרים.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears. How foreigners would rush to devour us. This happened to us, and we have told their story to learn it well. Poured out our hearts, dejected and sad. From above, listen to our plea. God, God, merciful, compassionate divinity.
ונפשי עלי אשפכה, כי בלעונו זרים, כי בלעונו זרים.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears. How foreigners would rush to devour us. Page 309. Merciful God, look down from above. See the blood of the righteous poured out. Their every lifeblood spilled. See this from behind your partition and overlook the stains of our sins. Ruling God, seated on the throne of mercy.
ונפשי עלי velaunu zarim.
When I remember these things, I dissolve in tears. How foreigners will rush to devour us. As difficult as this text is, I hope will remind us of the importance of teshuvah and the importance of sometimes, no matter the challenges around us, to keep moving forward, studying Torah, and strengthening a relationship with God. That's exactly what happened in that generation, even with everybody witnessing this. Right, it was right in front of them. That generation, nevertheless, never lost hope. And they redoubled their commitment to Judaism, their commitment to their God. It's time to continue now with Shema Koleinu. We are on page 310. The ark is going to be open. Hear our voice, sovereign God, pity us and be merciful to us. And with mercy and favor accept our prayer. God, take us back. We'll stray no more. Take us back to days of yore. Shema Koleinu, page 310.
Shema Koleinu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim uvratzon, et tefilateinu.
Hashivenu, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha, Venashuva, Venashuva, Hashivenu, Adonai Elecha,
Page 311. Al tazveinu Adonai Eloheinu, al terchak mimenu. Don't discard us, ruling God, nor be distant from us. The ark is closed, but we remain standing as we approach the vidui, the first confession that we have in this service. Second paragraph, page 311. God and God of our parents, may our prayer approach you and don't hide from our appeal. After all, we are not so confident or obstinate as to claim in your presence, ruling God and God of our parents, that we are right and have done no wrong. But no, indeed, we have sinned. The Ashavnu confession, bottom of page 311.
Ibarnu
Meir Shanu,
Zadanu,
Zadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamasnu,
Tafanu Sheker,
Tefanu Sheker, ay, 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 ay,
Yatnura,
Yatsnura,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latnu,
Lasnu,
Maradnu,
Maradnu,
Niatnu,
Niatsnu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Hashanu,
Ashanu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Hishinu Oref,
Hishinu Oref, ay, 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 ay,
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu,
We have become guilty. We have been disloyal. We have robbed. We have slandered. We have brought people to sin and made others do wrong. We have sinned knowingly. We have victimized the weak. We have smeared others with our lies. We have given bad advice. We have lied. We have made light of serious matters. We have rebelled. We have derided. We have turned away. We have talked ourselves into sin. We have knowingly done wrong. We have hurt others. We have been obstinate. We have been bad. We have become corrupt. We have become repugnant. We have strayed. And you have let us drift away. Please remain standing as we continue now with the long confession, page 313.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת.
For the sin, we sin at you, both when forced and by choice. And for the sin, we sinned at you through a hard heart. For the sin, we sin at you without knowing. And for the sin, we sin at you in speaking. For the sin, we sin at you by revealing nakedness. For the sin, we sin at you openly or in private. For the sin, we sin at you with knowledge or deceit. And for the sin, we sin at you in speaking. For the sin, we sin at you through cheating a neighbor. And for the sin, we sin at you in thinking things over 3:14. For the sin, we sin at you in meeting for illicit sex. And for the sin, we sin at you with lip service confession. For the sin, we sin at you by snubbing parents and teachers. For the sin, we sin at you on purpose or by mistake. For the sin, we sin at you by the power of our hands. And for the sin, we sin at you by desecrating God's name. For the sin, we sin at you with impure lips. For the sin, we sin at you through silly talk. For the sin, we sin at you by the evil inclination. And for the sin, we sin at you with or without our knowledge. And for them all, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, redeem us.
ועל כולם, ועל כולם אלוה הסליחות, ועל כולם, ועל כולם אלוה הסליחות.
סלח לנו,
סלח לנו,
סלח לנו,
מחה לנו, סלח לנו, מחה לנו, כפר לנו.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שוחד, החטא שחטאנו לפניך בלצון.
Bottom of page 314, for the sin we sin at you with denial and deceit, and for the sin we sin at you with bribery. For the sin we sin at you with scorn. For the sin we sin at you with slander. For the sin we sin at you in business. For the sin we sin at you in eating and drinking. For the sin we sin at you with interest and usury. And for the sin we sin at you by being haughty. For the sin we sin at you in conversation. For the sin we sin at you through ogling. For the sin we sin at you with arrogant looks. For the sin we sin at you with impertinence. Page 316, and for them all, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, redeem us.
ועל כולם, ועל כולם, אלוה הסליחות, ועל כולם, ועל כולם, אלוה הסליחות. סלח לנו,
Page 316.
החטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקתו, והחטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, החטא שחטאנו לפניך ביציאת רע.
For the sin we sin at you by discarding restrictions, and for the sin we sin at you in the legal system. For the sin we sin at you by tricking a neighbor. For the sin we sin at you by jealousy. For the sin we sin at you by making light of serious things. For the sin we sin at you by being stiff-necked. For the sin we sin at you by running to do wrong. For the sin we sin at you through gossip. For the sin we sin at you with false promise. For the sin we sin at you with groundless hatred. For the sin we sin at you with a loan. For the sin we sin at you in confusion. And for them all, forgiving God, forgive us, pardon us, redeem us. You may be seated as we continue with Sim Shalom, page 317.
שים שלום, טובה וברכה, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו, עלינו והכל ישראל עמך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו, עלינו והכל ישראל עמך.
שים שעה, לברך את עמך, בכל עת ובכל שעה, לברך את עמך, בשלומך, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים עלינו, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך, עלינו ועל כל ישראל עמך. שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום, שים שלום. שים שלום, בספר חיים ברכה ושלום, ופרנסה טובה, ניזכר וניחתך לפניך.
אנחנו וכל עמך בית ישראל.
לחיים, לחיים טובים ושלום.
ברוך אתה אדוני.
ברוך הוא, ברוך שמו.
עושה השלום.
Page 318, the ark is open for Hayom. Today, strengthen us. Today, bless us. Today, make us grow. Today, seek us out for good. Today, write down our names for a good life. Today, hear our cry. Today, accept with kindness and favor our prayer. Today, sustain us with your righteous power. And this is a beautiful thing. Sometimes I realize that when we put God first in our lives, we can say things like this: God, make it happen today. Because with God, we can go further, faster. So don't be afraid of asking big, because we serve a big God. Don't tell God how big are your problems. Tell your problems how big God is. Hayom Teamtseinu, page 318.
Hayom,
As the ark is closed, you may be seated. Thank you so much to Leslie Emery Cantor. Thank you, Leslie.
Baruch Tieh.
Thank you to the Shaarey Zedek Quartet, Justin Otwak, tenor and conductor. Mal Magorel, John Anderson, and Kira Krasnick with accompanied Stephen Cox. Thank you to Bill Weissman, Laird Clergy, and Shames here at the Shaarey Zedek. Thank you so much to Bonnie Robinson, Todah Reader, and also helping with the ARC, Marvin Polanski, audiovisual director, Stacy Bezak, ritual secretary for preparing everything that we have here on the Bima, Robert Didich, communication and marketing director, who is monitoring the chat and helping with tech support in the office also. Lina Lokshin is at the office helping as well. We thank Bill Croydon and the entire maintenance crew and team here at the Shaarey Zedek. And of course, we thank everyone for being here. Thank you so much. Now it's time to present my message to you in this day of Yom Kippur. It's interesting that right after Rosh Hashanah, actually between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, there are certain things in the liturgy has to be added. You realize, for example, the Kaddish, during the year we said Neila, but then between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur we said Leila Uleila. Well, everything was okay, Rosh Hashanah, but then the first time I have to lead the service after Rosh Hashanah, guess what I did for the Kaddish? Leila, instead of Leila, Leila. Why? Because it's a habit to say Leila instead of Leila, Leila. You see, but that was the inspiration for today's sermon. How habits are affecting our lives, sometimes for good, sometimes not for so good. Because habits are a big part of what we are and who we are. My great pleasure to present to you this message, this sermon for the day of Yom Kippur. 3 rabbis were in a boat together fishing a couple of days before Yom Kippur. One of the rabbis said, since we are all preparing ourselves for the holiest day of the year, let's each tell the area that we struggle in the most, our greatest sin, so we can help each other to do teshuvah. The first rabbi said, I hate to admit this, but I have a problem with gambling. Sometimes I sneak out at night and gamble. The second rabbi said, I'm ashamed to admit this, but I have a problem with cheating. I hardly ever pay my taxes. The third rabbi sat there silently. They waited and waited. He wouldn't say a word. They said, we are not leaving until you tell us your greatest sin. The third rabbi said, all right, my greatest sin is with gossip. I can't wait to get off this boat. I want to talk to you today about creating better habits. Sometimes it feels like we have lost so much time during the pandemic. Time that we could have spent with family and friends. Time that we could have spent at synagogue, sharing a minyan in person, or eating together at Kiddush. On one level, we understand that we need to be responsible and play our part to beat the pandemic and keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. However, we also have limited emotional energy to remain at home or to keep our distance from others, when instead we could gather together or we could be sharing a hug or a kiss. At the same time, we need to understand that even though we would like to speed up certain things, it is not in our power to do so. And until the right time comes, we have to be patient and do what is best for everyone. This reminds me of the biblical story of the flood. The flood itself lasted 40 days and 40 nights, but then the world was completely covered with water. So then, month after the flood, Noah wanted to know if it was safe for him and his family to leave the ark.
First, he sent a raven who kept coming back because there was no dry land to stop and settle. Then Noah sent a dove who also came back. Poor Noah and his family. They were probably going crazy, stuck in the ark for so long. They were probably desperate to leave that place once and for all and restart their lives in a normal way. But Noah understood that it wasn't safe quite yet. After a week, he sent the dove again. But this time, the dove came back with an olive branch on his beak. Then Noah knew that the waters had decreased on earth. Time to move out of the ark, right? Nope, not yet. The earth was probably more like a swamp, not safe to build on it yet, and quite fragile. So Noah waited another 7 days and sent the dove again. And this time, it did not return to him. Now he felt certain that the water receded, and the land was dry enough to get out of the ark. So, after 150 days, Noah was finally able to leave the ark behind. This leaves me wondering how many times Noah was tempted to leave the ark knowing that it wasn't safe to do so. Maybe a family member was urging him to move on, to get out, even though it was not safe quite yet. Luckily, he was able to overcome the urge and the pressure to leave until the time was right. But remaining in the ark longer than necessary was also not good. Neither was in God's plan. We need to be vigilant and aware, because the longer we do something, the more difficult it is to change that behavior. It becomes a habit. And we all know how difficult it is to break a habit. Most of us have no idea how many habits we have. At some point in our lives, we learn these behaviors and we find them to be enjoyable, helpful, and comforting, or maybe rewarding in some way. Because of this, we continue to do them until they become part of our character. They become permanent. Remember, practice makes permanent. Habits can be good or bad. Good habits move us forward. Bad habits keep us away from God's best. For example, the Talmud tells us that our patriarchs were men of good habits. Our sages tell us that the custom of praying 3 times a day was originally introduced by our patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Abraham introduced praying every morning. Isaac introduced the tradition of praying every afternoon, and Jacob added one at night. We know that Abraham was an early riser. We read in Genesis 22 that God said to Abraham, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Yitzchak, and go to the land of Moriah. There you are to offer him as an offering on a mountain that I will point out to you." Immediately after, we read, Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, together with Yitzchak, his son. From there, we learn a piece of halakha, Jewish law, that we should develop the habit to fulfill the commandments as soon as possible. Otherwise, we will procrastinate, and it may never happen. This is important because the same way we can develop good habits, we can also develop bad habits. Joseph was an egotist who wanted to lift himself up in front of his brothers. Jeremiah was insecure, and so forth. Both of them eventually overcame their respective bad habits. Sometimes it's easier if we are mindful of what we do and work to change our behavior before it becomes a habit, before it becomes permanent. During these last few years, we all developed new habits. Some good, some not so good. The good news is that while new habits can be created, all habits can be broken. I'm not going to lie to you by telling you that once I finish this sermon, you will be ready to reprogram your life. However, I do believe that if you really want it, you can change some of the bad habits in your life. I believe the best way to do it is to create new habits that will eventually overwrite the old habits. If a person can learn to enjoy playing a sport, that person will be much less inclined to spend hours as a couch potato. Joseph overcame his arrogance by learning to serve others. Jeremiah overcame his insecurity by learning to listen to God's words of encouragement. Perhaps you develop a new habit to seclude yourself. Be mindful that eventually life will go back to normal. So we all need to learn new ways to connect with each other. I believe that in many aspects of our lives, it's still too soon to leave the ark. But at the same time, it's time to be mindful of our habits, to be sure we are ready when the dove comes back with the olive branch. Let's all stay safe together as we prepare to emerge and re-engage with each other safely and confidently. Shana Tovah umetuka, Gmar Chatimah Tovah.
Yasher koach.
Rahatahi. Thank you. Something I wanted to say for a long time now. And I finally had an opportunity to say it out loud. So I hope you got inspired by those words. It's time to continue with our service. We are going to proceed now with the Kaddish Shalem. By the way, Yizkor is coming. Yizkor is going to be right after the Mourner's Kaddish. The order of the service as we continue is going to be right now with the Kaddish Shalem, Aleinu, Mourner's Kaddish. Then it's going to be the JNF appeal. And after that, we are going to close the service with Yizkor. So if you know anybody who needs to recite Yizkor, you can let them know that Yizkor is going to be very soon now. Page 319, the Hasidic Kaddish Shalem.
Bim bom, bim bom, bim bom.
Shemei Rabah, ve'alma divrach yirutei, ve'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechonu v'yom echon, u'v'chayei kol Beit Yisrael, v'agala u'bizman karim, ve'imeru.
Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabah mevorach, לעולם ולעולמי עמיה, יתברך, יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל. שמי דקודשה.
לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן מעמה, תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירן מעמה, דמירן מעמה, והימרו.
אמן.
תתקבל צלותיהון ובאותון דכל בית ישראל קודם מבואון דיבי שמהיה ואימרו meru.
Amen.
Shema Rabah min Shemayim v'chaim Aleinu, Aleinu Be'oko Yisrael ve'imeru Ve'imeru
Amen.
Ose shalom bimromav Uyase shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol Israel Ve'imeru Ve'imeru Amen Amen. Please stand now for Aleinu, page 321. The ark is open.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטף שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומושל גגתו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. אלוהינו אלון, הבל מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשאלות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינו. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד,
The ark is closed, but we remain standing for the mourner's Kaddish, page 324. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה,
Amen.
בלמד יברך ידותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן.
Amen.
יהא שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם ביעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלם הרבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. You may be seated for a minute. We are about 3-4 minutes away from the Yizkor service, just in case you're wondering. I understand some people have the tradition not to stay for the Yizkor service, so no hurt feelings if you disconnect right now, if you are one of those. But I know that there are many people that they connect specifically for the Yizkor service. Before that, I have a very important message from the JNF, also called the Keren Kayemet LeIsrael. For those of you outside North America who have no clue what JNF stands for, Jewish National Fund. It happens to me when I came to Winnipeg. Everybody was talking about JNF, JNF, JNF. I said, what is JNF? I went to the website, Keren Kayemet LeIsrael. Thank you, now I understand. And every year they have an appeal during the high holidays, and I think it's a very worthy cause. So I would like to share with you this message. School should be safe. Do we agree? I think so. But in the Ashkelon region, located on the border of both Gaza and Egypt, children have seen their regional schools shut down countless times as rockets rained down from Gaza. Targeted by terrorists just a few kilometers away, these attacks bring life to a sudden stop and have long-term damaging effects. School closures leave children and parents isolated at home and interrupt crucial childhood development, meaningful social interaction, and ongoing education. Sound familiar? Yeah. The pandemic has given us all a first-hand experience of what Israeli children have been experiencing for decades. The interruption of childhood in ways that none of us could have ever foreseen. But Israeli families must also deal with the ever-present danger of missiles falling in their communities. So, JNF Canada is determined to support the brave families of Eshkol region with a shelter for safe education. New fortified educational game fields room to provide continued education and stability during times of crisis when the regional school is closed. Kids can remain under moshav and engage in study and play with peers, while their parents can continue to work or manage their affairs of the house while knowing their children are safe. With this missile-proof facility, life can continue with as little disruption as possible. Its mere presence can lessen the psychological effects of being under ongoing fire and reduce the mental burden shared by both parents and children. Please join JNF Canada in their efforts to build a more stable and healthy future for the residents of the Eshkol region. Please visit jnfcanada.ca and search for the High Holidays campaign. Or it's going to be a link in the chat that you can see as well. And thank you so much on behalf of JNF for your generosity. It's time to continue now with the Yizkor service. We have a special Sefer Torah that's going to be taken out. It's already out of the ark. This is what we call the Holocaust Torah. It's a Sefer Torah that was rescued from Europe after the Holocaust. And Yizkor is a very special time. It's a very special moment. Moment when we reconnect with our loved ones. And there is a story that I always remember at this time when we have Yizkor. It's a teaching that I learned long ago by a rabbi. And he was pointing out, we were studying actually the early parts of the book of Genesis, the story of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And there is this promise that God made to Abraham, that he was going to have a great descendant. He's going to be the father of many nations. So what did God do? God said to Abraham, get out of your tent and look at the sky. He said, look at the stars on the sky. If you can count them, right? Your descendant is going to be like that. But the interesting thing is, if you keep reading that text, it was not at night at all. God did this during the middle of the day. So it's something, that gets the rabbis scratching their heads. So what is the deal here? Are we talking about how many stars or what? Until I heard this beautiful teaching that it says that, well, perhaps God is not talking about the numbers of the stars at all, but God is talking about the quality of the stars. What is the quality of the stars? Well, when you look up the sky and you see the stars at night, they don't look like much. They look like a tiny little white light in the sky. But actually, sometimes we forget that every star is a whole galaxy with planets and who knows what else and who knows how many planets. Same thing is with our own lives. Sometimes when we look at the world, we seem to look at the number with people, but we don't realize that each individual in this world is special, important, and a galaxy by himself or herself. But there is more, and this is the connection to me with Yizkor. When we come here to remember our loved ones who died. Because the scientists now say that the stars that we look at the sky, many of them actually died millions of years ago. And we can still see the lights. So I believe with our loved one is the same. We come to synagogue for Yizkor year after year after year after year. And we still remember them as if it were today. We still remember ourselves sharing with our loved ones celebrations. Maybe a Rosh Hashanah meal, breaking the fast after Yom Kippur, a Passover Seder. This may have happened 50 years ago. And like the lights of the stars, is still present in our lives today. We are all going to honor the memory of our loved one. So please turn to page 328 and rise. We are going to remain standing until the end of Yizkor. Page 328, the memorial service. Adonai, Mahadam vatedaeu, venenosh vatechashpehu. Adam level dama, Yam av ketzelover, baboker yatzit vechalaf. לערב ימולל ויבש, למנות ימינו כנותיו, ונביא לבב חוכמה, שמורתם ולישר, כי אחרית לאיש שלום. אך אלוהים יפדה נפשי, מיד שאול, כי קחני סלע. קלה שרי ולבבי, צאן לבבי וחלקי. אלוהים לעולם וישוב ועפר על הארץ כשהיה, והרוח תשוב אל האלוהים אשר נתנה. God, what is a human being? Yet you notice us. What is a person? Yet you think of us. Humanity is like a breath. Our days, like a passing shadow. In the morning it blossoms and sprouts, but in the evening it wilts and shrivels. Teach us to use each day to bring our hearts to wisdom. Guard the perfect and watch over the upright, for that person's end is peace. Surely God will save my soul from the clutches of Sheol, for God will take me in. Selah. My own energy and courage failed, but my heart's strength and my portion is God forever. Thus returns to the earth as it was before, while the spirit returns to God who gave it. Page 329, third paragraph, Enosh.
כחציר ימיו, כציץ השדה כן יציץ, כי רוח אברהם בינינו ולא
A mortal's day are like grass, sprouting just like the vegetation in a field. But a wind passeth through it, and it's gone, without a trace of its existence. But God's kindness comes from before time. It lasts forever for those who fear God. God's righteousness continues for generations. I'd like to invite everyone now to turn to page 330 and following and pick the right paragraphs for the Yizkor to honor your loved ones. Please continue honoring them in a silent manner. page 332. Yizkor Elohim nishmot kol acheinu b'nei Israel shemasru nafsham al kiddush Hashem. Ana shma v'chayenu ed gevurotam u'mesirutam. V'ira'eh v'maaseinu tohar libam. ותהיינה נפשותיהם שרודות בצרור החיים, ותהי מנוחתם כבוד, סוף השמחות פניך נעימות בבניך נצח, ונאמר אמן. May God remember the souls of all our Jewish brothers and sisters who gave their lives as martyrs to declare your holiness. May our lives reflect the bravery and dedication, and our deeds exhibit the purity of their hearts. And may their souls be bound with the bond of life, and their eternal rest be in honor, filled with joy of your presence, comforted in your power forever. And let us all say, Amen. We have now two versions of the El Malei Rachamim prayer. The first one on page 333, when we honor the memory of Holocaust victims and the fallen soldiers of the Israel Defense Forces.
El Malei Rachamim shochen b'amromim hametzeh menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina ma'alot kedoshim u'teorim כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמות הקדושים והטהורים אחינו בני ישראל שנהרגו ושנשחטו ושנשרפו ושנטבחו על ידי הנאצים בארצות השמד הקדוש השם את נשמות החיילים וחיילות של צבא הגנה לישראל שמסרו נפשם אז שדה הקרב בארצם ועמם בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים עד עליית נשמתם וגן עדן תמנוחתם לכן בעל הרחמים אז תירם בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם אדוני ונחלתם ינוח ושלום על משכבם ונאמר אמן.
Amen. God, full of compassion, dwelling on high, grant proper rest in the shelter of your presence, in the ranks of the saintly and pure, radiant like the bright heavens to the soul of the holy and pure of our Jewish brothers and sisters who were murdered and slaughtered, burned and butchered by the Nazis in the lands of our persecution. Their martyrdom declared your holiness. And the souls of the men and women soldiers of the Israel Defense Force who gave their lives at the battlefront for the sake of the land and people. As we pray that their soul may ascend, may they rest in the Garden of Eden. So, compassionate ruler, shelter them beneath your wings forever and gather their souls in the bound of life. God is their true inheritance. May they rest in peace in the resting place. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
Page 335, we have another version of the El Malei Rachamim honoring all the departed whose memory we cherish.
El Malei Rachamim shochen b'amromim hametzeh menucha nechona תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמות כל אלה שהזכרנו היום לברכה, בעבור שאנחנו מתפללים בעד עליית נשמתם, וגן עדן תמנוחתם, לכן בעל הרחמים, הסתירם בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתם, אדוני הוא נחלתם, וינוחו בשלום על משכבם, ונאמר אמן.
Amen. God, full of compassion, dwelling on high, grant proper rest in the shelter of your presence, in the ranks of the saintly and pure, radiant like the bright heavens to the soul of all those whom we have remembered today as a blessing. As we pray that their souls may ascend, may they rest in the Garden of Eden. So, compassionate ruler, shelter them beneath your wings forever. Gather their souls in the bond of life. God is their true inheritance. May they rest in peace in the resting place. And let us all say, Amen.
Amen.
The Mourner's Kaddish, page 336. Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shmei Rabah. Belmad yivirach hirutei ve'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon. V'chaye dechol Beit Israel. Bagalau v'zman kariv ve'imbru. Amen. Yehe shemer Rabah mevorach le'alam ule'olmei olmaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמידם ביעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו Amen. Once the Torah returns to the ark and the ark is closed, you may be seated. Just a quick reminder that the most beautiful way we have to honor our loved ones is, of course, through deeds of kindness, but also with tzedakah. It's customary to give tzedakah after every Yizkor service. If you're going to do it through the synagogue, please visit szwinnipeg.ca/HHD donate. This concludes this morning's service. Thank you so much to everyone for tuning in. We are so blessed that you have chosen Congregation Shaarey Zedek here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada as your spiritual home. We are very humble for that. So thank you so much. Thank you, Cantor Leslie, for your contributions. Yasher kochech.
Baruch Tieh, Yasher Koach, Rabbi Anibal.
How does it feel?
Still surreal, but it's been an honor to be up here with everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. And we'll be back this evening.
At 6 o'clock. Yeah, I remember your services downstairs used to be like 15 minutes. Now it's
No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
Just kidding. But it wasn't as long as this one, right?
Not quite.
And
No, I used to sneak upstairs at the end and catch the end.
Yeah. So we are so glad that you are here this year. Thank you, Bill Weisman, our shamus, for being here. Bonnie Robinson, Marvin Polanski, and of course, the Shaarey Zedek Quartet. Everybody's coming back this afternoon, 6 o'clock for the Mincha service. Thank you so much for being there. Let's take a little break and hope to see you at 6 p.m. with Mincha and Neila, and then at the very end of Yom Kippur with a big Tekiah Gedolah. Shana Tova, Chatimah Tovah. Hope to see you soon.